So I think there is clearly something in open source AI that will stick. Now, does it need crypto or not? That's like where I'm like,
what are you bullish on broadly? You know, category, idea, sector in the markets or outside? And then what are you bearish or fearful about?
Where do you think the Google search versus OpenAI prompt on a consumer basis stacks up?
Welcome back to the Rollup. We are your hosts. I'm Andy.
I'm Robbie, and this is your home to learn from the biggest guests, the brightest minds at the tip of innovation.
Our goal is to help spread the collective knowledge of everyone in our community.
We are breaking crypto out of its echo chamber and taking it to the real world.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy a quick word from some of our awesome partners who make this show possible.
Crypto UX? Broken. AI? Can't trust it. Let Magic Newton set you free. It puts your on-chain transactions on autopilot. Does all the work for you 24/7 so you can go do what you want. The vision of Magic Labs. The creators of embedded wallets, used and backed by the best. See for yourself. Simpler crypto UX, verifiable AI agents. Newton.xyz.
what's up, man?
Tarun, what's up, man?
Good to see you.
We are not talking about crypto today.
Great. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about your tweet here that keeps coming up that I'm really enjoying.
Which one?
It is your daily drivers and how they keep changing.
Yes.
So I got to find the most recent one just to get a...
Yeah, I haven't updated in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, please update more often because
yeah.
I've slowly switched off of Claude as a result of you seeing your daily drivers.
Well, let's get a live update.
Yeah, I'll give you a live.
Yeah, live update. So wait, hold on. About a month ago, daily driver 03. Is that still the daily driver?
Yeah, for the most part. Although the problem is actually I keep hitting the limit, my usage limit. So I would say it's a daily driver until the usage limit, and then I just go to Gemini.
Okay.
Gemini.
Analysis, Gemini 2.5 Pro.
Kind of coming back to in between 03 and Gemini.
Just seeing differences in
okay, so for 03, it's like very good at abstract math stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's like some paper that maybe I read and I'm like, I kind of remember the conclusion. And I'm like, hey, can you reproduce the argument? And it will be able to do that. But if you ask it to do very precise things like write me code to do X, it will make a lot of errors. And I think the reason it makes a lot of errors is actually a kind of funny reason. So like, it uses a lot of like shortcut hand wavy things where it's like, hey, maybe in some piece of code, they called some variable like Andy coin.
Yeah.
And it will be like, oh, Andy coin, well, the ticker was A coin, so I'm going to call everything A coin.
Yeah.
And then it like forgets that it renamed something, and then it'll go back to using Andy coins. And I think Gemini and Claude are much better about this. They're like very consistent. They don't forget that they're... So stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, if it's something where I'm the one who's figuring out whether it's supposed to be the same, or if it's something where it's like, it's a piece of code and the software won't run because they like forgot they renamed the variable. Those are the differences, but probably those two. I think
that happens after like multiple prompts,
exactly.
Like 10 prompts later, it's like it's forgotten what it. Yeah, gotcha.
And Gemini is really good at like you give it something and it runs for a long time. It's the best. Claude is actually very good at tiny tasks. Anything long, it starts messing up, but it's not because it has no memory. It seems like it remembers things well. But it just like has a computation. It's like it's built around small programming tasks. And you ask it some complicated math thing and it gets lost.
I like Claude though for the way that the human feel is to it as typing to it. It feels like
I don't remember what her name is. A woman who's like their head of UX is this like philosophy professor.
I feel like this like very like so. All right, research. You've got 03 and 2.5 Pro.
Yeah, same.
Still. That combination,
that combo is like the best.
For any sort of like mathematical research, deep level thinking.
Yeah, for like programming, Claude and Gemini, not really 03, because it makes like all these little dumb mistakes.
Yeah,
it's kind of like the smartass in class, where it's like the person who like never studies for the test and still gets an A, but like the teacher hates them. Whereas like Claude is like the goody two-shoes who's not really that smart, but like memorizes and tries to do every extra credit possible.
Yeah.
And then Gemini is actually the smart one, but then like sometimes loses confidence in itself. That's like if I were to anthropomorphize them.
All right, your search engine O3.
O3, yeah.
Yeah.
O3,
And that's just for like searching for. So rather than using Google, just pop into O3.
Here, let's look at like the other thing is I think the ChatGPT app is actually good.
Yeah.
Whereas like the Gemini app and DeepSeek app and stuff are kind of shitty. The mobile experience, like they'll get stuck or like they clearly didn't spend time trying to make them like consumer products.
Yeah.
And so like I end up asking like, for instance, I asked something about like who are the sets of wholesale lenders in traditional finance, because I've been thinking about like these people who are syndicating RWAs, are any of these people doing it yet? As like is it really here yet? And so like, I got a good like list of like the top 10 mortgage lenders.
United, PennyMac, News, now it's only more RWAs. So we're still early.
Yeah, we're still early. Exactly.
But if you search that on Google, it would be hell.
Or the other thing I realized is the Google AI assistant. When you that stuff is like cached results. It's not actually running a live model, and those results are oftentimes stale. So like some news event happens, it will not get it. Whereas I think OpenAI and Google in particular, Claude a little bit, although it messes up the web search, are very good at like going and searching online for like, oh, like did something new happen?
Yeah.
And I think that's where they've improved so much. It's like impossible to not use both of those.
Yep. You've got coding for new code 2.5 Pro.
I think that one is actually Claude 4. Claude 4 is a competitor there.
Because you got Claude 4 for debugging.
I think Claude 4 has gotten better at new code. I actually often thought like, I have some idea. I write some pseudocode. I give it to O3. And I'm like, what's missing? Like, how would you write this? Describe it to another language model. Yeah. And then I take what it describes and then give it to Gemini and Claude. Because like oftentimes O3 is good at like planning, but then it like, again, this is what I said. It's like the smart ass who like doesn't do any of the like homework, but just comes in for the final. Yeah. So like it clearly understands what it's doing. It just like makes no effort to do the basic boring thing.
It makes careless mistakes.
Yeah.
So tell us more about that. So do you are you taking one answer from one LLM and then telling it like make this ready for a different one, and doing that a lot to like, I don't know, like double check your worth, or like
it's sometimes double checking. B, it's actually oftentimes because yes, one of them is better at like being like Claude is very good at like finding little tiny errors and like working until the piece of code works. O3 will be like, it's so easy, just do this, and then it doesn't run, and you're like, it doesn't run, and they're like, okay, I'll change one thing. And you know what I mean? It's like very lazy.
Smart ass.
Yeah, it's like I would call it this.
That's hilarious.
Got
like your little children here, too, right?
You treat these like people. It's like okay. The other thing, another tweet I wrote about this, which is like, actually, I think all LLMs have maybe realized is everyone is just going to learn to become a manager. Because like this is like managing a team of people. Yeah. Like I know which tasks one is good at. I know which one I should be like distributing. Yeah. I have to like tell them, oh, like you sucked and this other model produced a better thing. Why can't you be better? And then it'll sometimes give me a better answer.
Yeah. It is kind of crazy.
It is like you're just kind of a manager.
If you talk derogatory to the LLM sometimes, they actually perform better.
Yeah. Although some of them, like Claude is the sensitive one, and you say you fucked up and it'll suddenly get all defensive, and I'm like, all right.
And so you're already starting to use another LLM as the manager of one. Well, you're starting to kind of pass work between them, but we don't have the interoperability amongst these models to the extent where they can manage one.
Yes, although you kind of do. So like if you use Cursor actually basically every time you write a message keeps track of all the contexts embedded for all the models it supports. So it's like you ask a question and it tries to be able to send it to O3, Claude, whatever, so that you can move between the models more seamlessly. Now, not perfect, but it actually gets you like 80% of the way there.
Yeah.
I think that's why you're seeing this like Silicon Valley VC Twitter trend of like everyone talking about who's going to own memory. And when they talk about memory, they mean exactly this problem of like, how do you build this interop? I'm kind of the mindset that the application owns the interop. It's a little bit like DeFi where like the application owns the order flow. I kind of feel like the application owns the order flow in the context that the user is sending, which especially if you're using multiple models, it feels like each individual model's individual value is like decreasing over time, but the value of like whoever owns the context that the user is propagating through as you're chatting with them, that is the thing that's most valuable. And like the cursors of the world own that, not the OpenAIs.
Right. So like, yeah. So if there could be a tool, let's say Cursor, that would have access to all of your usage across different LLMs, that tool would be the most would be.
I think in some ways that's more valuable. Now,
than the individual ones.
Weird exception because their consumer app, which is the mobile app in front end, is so much more popular in terms of users than like every other LLM.
Yeah.
That they own a bunch of context, but they own a bunch of context that's actually like retail consumer usage. Yeah. Whereas like Anthropic owns like U.S. government usage, and like Google owns actually a lot of programmer usage now.
Yeah,
right.
Google owns a lot of search, which also could provide a lot of context, but maybe not so much as I don't. Where do you think the Google search versus OpenAI prompt on a consumer basis stacks up?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Gemini, have you guys ever used the interface, the web interface for Gemini that like is...
Oh, yeah.
It's like it's not a thing about like the answer you're getting that's not as nice. It's like the UX sucks. It's slow sometimes, okay, this happens in almost every language model interface where like 1 out of every 50 prompts I give, I have to go retry because it got stuck or like it started sampling tokens and then it's...
stuff. Right? Yeah.
And like obviously... that is like the biggest UX hurdle, I think, for a lot of people, is that idea that, oh, it stopped. Oh, it must not be working. I'm not going to keep using it.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you jam the stop button, and then sometimes it just kind of like shits. Yeah.
Exactly.
It just doesn't stop
and
or whatever.
Google's is actually the worst UX for that. Like they actually, sometimes it has the fastest token production on Gemini Flash, but then like the number of times it just like doesn't respond is like way higher.
Yeah.
So that's why I prefer the API usage or cursor usage, because all these other apps actually do a lot of like retry logic, or like if you're writing your own code that's using OpenAI API, you can add your own retry logic. So I do think like this is where I'm saying I actually think the apps that own the order flow will like be able to differentiate and like own a lot, which is also I think one of the reasons I'm pretty nebulous on most crypto AI things right now.
Yeah,
like
Steve was extremely bearish at dinner last night. It was like, dude, 2 or 3 years, like this shit is just AI is not good enough.
Yeah, and also just like the security stuff is actually much worse than I think people will give it credit for. Like,
yeah,
I think there are really cool examples like Fresa, where like people who are like trying to build LLM security via these crypto contests, which I think is like, that's an awesome way.
Yeah.
But they're nowhere near ready. Like someone is going to lose money, and hopefully not a lot, but it's like, it's going to be non-trivial.
So have you invested in any like crypto AI things?
Yeah. So we invested in Noose. And EXO. And basically, I think edge usage of AI is going to be really important. So in the EXO case, like I already see this myself. Like I bought a new Mac and I run $14 billion parameter quantized models on my local machine now. And like I could not do that before. Like I think people underrate the Apple silicon for personal use stuff. Has gotten a lot better. And so I think people who are using that for like edge compute, I think there's going to be a market for that, where like they need to run local models and they're unwilling to outsource, but they own a bunch of computers locally and they can use this stuff. So that's one place where I actually think crypto is useful. Like the value capture for that is not clear, but at least it's like, I can see it myself.
Yeah.
And the other first is like, I do really think Noose and Prime Intellect, I think a lot of the RL stuff is more conducive to crypto. Now, are they going to make, and again, there's no real obvious value.
RL? Sorry,
the reinforcement learning training. So like what DeepSeek does, what all of the
yeah, that was the last one that we had for you with the fine tuning.
The modern. So for open source models, pretty much DeepSeek Qwen 3. I spent a bunch of time trying to fine tune 5.4, which is the Microsoft model.
Yeah.
Did not work. Also, it was just a little too big for my local GPU.
Ooh.
So main point is like, I kind of think there is a market for these fine-tuned models. I just don't know if like the cost of fine tuning is ever going to be, you know, the amount you make from making someone the custom model is ever going to be more than how much you paid to fine tune it. And like that's the part where the economics are not clear. But Noose and Prime Intellect have been kind of focusing on two different directions, with Noose kind of going we're making an RL SDK, so it's easy for you to fine tune distributed, and then Prime Intellect being like rent an H100 for $1, which is all. I mean, I use that all the time.
Yeah.
Introducing SummerFi, one of DeFi's oldest and most battle-tested platforms. SummerFi automates your exposure to DeFi's highest quality yield, so you can sit back and enjoy this summer. Deposit stablecoins at USDC or USDT and let SummerFi route your funds into optimized, low-risk lending strategies. With over 100 million in instant liquidity and support for over 34 protocols across Ethereum, Arbitrum, and more, you always stay in control. Choose from a wide range of curated strategies reviewed by independent risk experts, all in just a few clicks. So why work hard for your yield when you can be lazy? Start earning now at Summer.fi, the home of the Lazy Summer protocol.
Innovating finance, global, institutional, and on-chain. Deep liquidity to drive capital efficiency. Now maximize yields on institutional-grade liquid staking with METH. Unlock $1 trillion of capital via Bitcoin. All of this secured by Mantle's treasury of billions in stables and ETH capital pools. This entire ecosystem is coordinated by a vast network of seasoned VCs that are aiming to create the next generation of banking and financial technology. This is Mantle.
So that gives you access to a piece of hardware in the cloud for $1, and then
$1 an hour.
$1 an hour, and then you get like this maxed out GPU that you can just
do whatever you want, and so that you can run fine tuning, you can run these experiments, and like that is I was initially doing this because I was like, I want to understand how the algorithms are working. I also want to understand the open source ecosystem, because like I used to be a GPU programmer in 2015, 2016. So I wrote a lot of CUDA code a long time ago, and I was like, what has happened in the last 10 years?
Yeah.
And it's gotten so much easier. It's like insane how much easier it is to go from 0 to 1.
Yeah.
So I think there is clearly something in open source AI that will stick. Now, does it need crypto or not? That's like where I'm like, maybe. Like,
I mean, the thing we need is like the lazy man's on-chain assistant, or like the lazy man's portfolio manager. It's like the type me a strategy that's going to make me a fucking 30% with little risk over the next 2 years, and like execute it for me on my behalf, rebalance for me, all that kind of stuff.
I just think like we're not quite there yet, but, and this is a tiny shill, but like we launched a rebalancing USDC product across chain. So like,
sweet,
put in USDC and it'll deposit on Base, Arbitrum, wherever that different yield is. And I think once the crypto side, especially in the vault side, solidifies security wise, and like people are really confident in that, then I think the AI side taking advantage of this type of stuff is easy. But I think right now the crypto side is like still not like, it's not there for like the APIs and endpoints, and the security model is not there for AI stuff yet. And so it is definitely early, right? I think there will be a version of the world where crypto and AI interact more, but I'm not like holding my breath thinking it'll happen tomorrow. I think you just have to be in both markets.
Yeah.
I'm curious about, I mean, the H100 stuff I find pretty fascinating. So like you would basically rent this thing for an hour. You would run some like super intense fine tuning algorithm while you have this thing live, pull it down to your local machine, and then you're good to go.
Yeah.
It's
like, and like someone will. So one investment we made in 2022, which is ironically they started as a crypto company and then pivoted.
Yeah.
Was Together AI, which is like they host models for you. So you have a custom fine-tuned model. They're like Vercel for model hosts.
Okay.
So like you have some model where you fine-tuned it. They will host it and generate it and stand up endpoints and geo-distribute it and do all like almost like a node as a service provider. They're like an inference node as a service provider.
Okay.
And there's a ton of people who are doing this, and that market has grown. Like CoreWeave, I guess, is the biggest, but there's like a ton of people who are in this market.
And so in that case, they're posting it for you, so it's not local, but you can still fine tune it yourself.
Yes. Okay. You fine tune it, and then they make it so that, like, say you have a website that has a chatbot, and your chatbot is like fine tuned on the Rollup episodes, right? So that like people can ask questions about it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you every week or every 5 weeks, you have to re-update it with the new episodes daily, and you refine tune it. Well, there's this whole workflow. It's almost like machine learning pipelines of like, okay, new data came in. Okay, re-update the model. Okay, redeploy the model so that the website is using the latest one. And that whole continuous pipeline process, you know, in trading and in data science, that has been always come under the umbrella of like machine learning pipelines. In AI, the pipelines are kind of different, mainly because like some of the data as I retrain the model, some of the data is actually all this RL stuff where I'm fine tuning how I ask prompts. So I'm saying I ask sequences of prompts. And so there's a whole world of that stuff, and there'll be developer tools and things like that. Now, there was a while, especially in 2022, like pre-Luna, where there were a lot of people working in AI and they saw crypto go up like crazy, and they're like, oh, you know what? Maybe we can do this stuff decentralized. And a lot of those companies were amazing investments, but because they didn't stay in crypto. The number of people who pivoted at that time, like including CoreWeave, actually, was a very large, and like that cohort did really well. So that's sort of like how I've kind of been paying attention. But like I really do think there will be a world in which they're interacting. We're just not there yet.
So last thing for you, what are you bullish on broadly? You know, category, idea, sector in the markets or outside? And then what are you bearish or fearful about?
I think an interesting thing is what I would say is, and I say this from the perspective of both an investor at Robot and working at and running Gauntlet, is we're kind of seeing, I would say this, that we're at peak staking yield. Like, I think staking yields have actually been kind of like going down quite a bit. And if you've seen a bunch of the announcements like Near and
Celestia, et cetera,
about reducing inflation, I think we're kind of at the point that actually staking as a business model may have hit, or we may have already passed peak revenue. So I'm actually bearish staking revenue, like businesses built around staking revenue, because I actually, and this also sort of includes LSTs and protocol
and validators and shit.
I think there will be consolidation in that market because as the rewards go down, like there's just not as much revenue for them. But that's what I'm bearish. But I'm bullish. All that capital has to go somewhere. And the number one place is people want stablecoin yield right now. And every fintech wants to like get on chain right now. I think that's where we're going to see increases. And the main problem there is actually the demand side. Like, where are you getting borrowers? And I think I'm very bullish on people who are bringing stablecoin demand of off-chain companies on-chain. Like, taking companies that are borrowing from a bank and they're like, look, we'll lend to you in stablecoin. We'll do all the off-ramp, whatever. We'll act as a company that holds the crypto risk for you. But we act as a sort of centralized lender, but you can see what we're doing. I think you're going to see a lot of these like hybrid things come online because the rate spreads between on-chain stablecoin borrow rates and off-chain is still big enough. And all of this capital that is leaving staking has to go somewhere. That's my bull and bear. They're very related.
Yeah, they're very related. Tarun, thanks for your time, man.
Of course.
I appreciate it. I wanted to go through that daily driver because I've just been tracking it. It was just,
You got the live real.
Seriously, we'll have to update it real time.
Always a pleasure, man.
Thanks.
Cheers, man. Thank you.
See ya.
See ya.